In this week's channeled message from the angels, they are telling us all about a beautiful treasure that they are holding for us that we will receive as we go through the shift in consciousness. So welcome back to my channel, you guys. I am so glad you are here. Thank you so much for joining me. And those of you who are new, welcome to my channel. My name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel, and I channel from the angelic realm. I do that by going into a deep meditative state or trance, and then from that state, I raise my awareness up as high as I can go, and then I stretch a little bit higher. I connect at the angelic realm, and then messages, information, and healing comes through, and I share it here with you guys on YouTube. And this week's message is poetic and beautiful, and I believe very accessible and easy to understand. So I think you guys are going to love it. The format I'll use to share it is I will first go through a brief description of what the message is about, and then I'm going to share the original channeling with you, and then after that I will come back and I will break it down and talk through paragraph by paragraph. And I do that because the angels use a lot of big words and they talk in layers. Angels frequently will choose words that have more meaning than one, and they do that on purpose because the angels hold multiple perspectives, which ironically is what this message is all about. So, but by going into it more deeply, you get a much richer sense of what they're saying, and you really get a better way to feel them, I think, by spending that extra time with the message. So anyway, so that is there for you if you would like it. All right. So two other quick things is, number one, if you are thinking of doing soul convergence, this is truly the last moment. We start Saturday. So, and we have a phenomenal group that's come together to be part of this cohort. It's going to be, I cannot wait to begin tomorrow. Super, super exciting. I always am so enthused every time we begin a new soul convergence journey because I see the transformation in people, and it is truly amazing to watch and witness and to be part of. Then the other thing is Wendy sent out an email from all of us yesterday, letting you guys know that we're going to be in Arizona. So if you are in the Phoenix area, specifically, we're going to be in Carefree, which I love that name as a town, Carefree, but it's really close to Phoenix. If you would like to join us, we're going to be there and we're going to do just a fun a half day, or it's a 3-hour, I'll channel them of creation. We'll do some healing. We'll do some chatting. If you want to join us, that is now available. So I think all the early bird tickets are gone. I think they're sold, but anyways, there's definitely still seats available. So if you would like to come and join us, please do, because it just so happened Wendy and I were going to be there, and I'm like, let's do a thing while we're there. So it's going to be, and we've already heard from some of you guys that are going to join us. I'm super, super psyched. So we get to meet some of you face to face, which is so, so fun. All right. Okay, so quickly, this is what the message is about today. It is a very beautiful and poetic message from the angels telling us about how, the best way I can describe it is they're saying that they have been with us from the very beginning of human time. And through that entire history, they have been the witness, that they have been able, because of the fact that they can hold multiple perspectives at once, because they have the ability to process all things at once, not like humans where we can only focus on one thing at a time, that they can hold the experience of all of humanity at once. So they see things from all perspectives. And they said that we don't see it because we see things one at a time. We don't see the evolution of humanity, but they do. They have from the beginning seen it as an inevitability, that we have been on this path from the beginning. And they say that when we go through the shift in consciousness, that they will gift to us the perspective that they've held for us all this time. And so the best way I can understand it is that it'll be like going from, like right now, when we talk with someone, it's like we get their sacred word, right? We have a perspective on that person. We would say, okay, this person, I'm going to give them, I understand a word of their sentence. I understand a bit of who they are. I get one word of the whole picture. And we get that based on what they say and what we hear and our first impressions and all of the things, including our prejudices and our biases and everything, right? So so really what we only get is about a word worth. And once we go through this shift in consciousness, they've told us that we will have telepathy, emotional telepathy, and we will be able to connect with people and understand the fullness of who they are, which is amazing. And that will be getting like the whole sentence. So instead of having just a word, we will now get the whole sentence, and we will understand that person in the context of all of their experiences, and we will have a much richer model of who they really are. But what the angels are telling us is what they are holding for us is the entire book, that they have the entire history of seeing things from all perspectives. And they will gift this to us at the shift in consciousness. And that is how we will achieve sort of like love for all of humanity. Because, and so anyways, it's a beautiful, beautiful message. And they say it much better than I can. But that's my summary to get us started in terms of helping to go into it. So now you can just sit back and relax, and I will share the message with you, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
Beginning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Blessings, we begin. We are speaking to you on the concentration with which we observe your world. We speak again at each opportunity that is given. We come to you open hearts, in friendship, with all that is of concern to yourselves. In the new beginning, our relationships shall develop and our connections shall strengthen. And you will work with us, and together we will form a new beginning. In the friendless times of before, when your heart ached and you felt no solace from the beginning, we were there. We beheld you in your separation. We waited, we watched, and we were witness to all that unfolded. We beheld your evolution, the change from within that you have undergone and are still undergoing. We beheld the fruition of your nature as humanity. We watched your growth from the disassociative membership of the many to the one truth of your wholeness. We wish to bring into fruition the golden age of your own self-knowledge. We wish to bring through to you what we have observed, what we have seen as part of your own development, how your nature evolves within itself, how your own evolution is not the byproduct, but the truth. The orchestration of your world is the spawn of your own generous, natural divinity unfolding from within you. There can be no alternative other than your own evolution. There can be no forward motion that does not draw through you into what is your higher relationship to divine presence. You are on a tumultuous pathway, but the circumstances reveal themselves to be always guided within the heralded relationship to what is your truth. You are and can bear witness to one another's evolution, but we are always ever present amongst yourselves and see in all perspectives at once. We are the witness to what you have borne, to what you are the brunt of, to what you have held as truth and as violence. We hold within you what is the sacred flame of your divinity. And these two things are in reverence, isolation from one another, and juxtaposition to each other. There can be no friendship while this terminal separation exists. There can be no reservoir of wellness within you while these aspects of yourself are in isolation. Therefore, the gentle evolution you have performed is the closer and closer integration of these elements. It is the drawing forward and through the divinity of your presence, what has been separated. It is the understanding of what is causal, of what is causing your experience. It is the truth that what is present evolves from within you. This turnabout within the consequential understanding of the human mind changes all things. It reverses the polarity of existence so that what once felt as opposite now becomes harmonious and intertwined. The evolution of what is you moves away from isolation and toward union, toward integration, toward the acknowledgement of what is divine and divine presence, which you carry. There can be no better vantage point than the one we have held. It is to bring into our own selves what you are experiencing, to become as you are, but not a party to what is occurring, to be always in the encounter, but never in action, to be always surrounding, but never within. We are therefore neutral observers. We encounter yourselves in actuality as you are, as you hear yourselves and are heard by another from all perspectives at once. And from this placement, true isms are developed. The consequential knowingness of what you are becomes more solid and solidified. There can be no doubt when encircled by all that exists that held space for your truth to express itself, and seen from all aspects, your evolution becomes certain. There can be no folly of understanding when the perspectives are held from all perspectives at once. Thus, what we share with you upon our observance, the explanations that we carry, which are brought to you and through you through the evolution of your kind, you become more caring and concerned for one another. You become the friend in friendship to all humankind as we have been. You see yourselves as only we have held from the neutral perspective of the all and the every. You come to terms with this perspective at the rising time of your own carefully guarded shift in presence. As you move to the heightened state of your awareness and you connect into dialogue with the ever-present self and soul that rises above, we shall share what we have observed. We shall share what is truth from within the perspective of all that is. We shall come to serve you, to bring forth what has been every person's truth. We bring this through thought, feeling, and gesture. We bring it into the source knowledge of all that is held as positive and possible within the collective understanding of humanity. We bring this to you and through you, through the friendship that we hold in our hearts, through the loving embrace with the primary contact that we have held as the membership has included us from the very beginning. The journey of your own soliloquy has always been brought into form by the instrumentation that we provide. And we are here now to orchestrate what shall be the combined musicality of all voices in participation. And we shall share the gentle guidance of our carefully brought recordings of all we have gathered and understood about you. And this shall fuel your own learnings. All that has come to be known amongst ourselves shall be shared within the collective consciousness of the human mind. And this you shall belong to and shall claim as your divinely held right. You shall know what it is to be known. You shall hold what is humanity as we have held it. We are now a consciousness that bears its resemblance to your own in some ways. We are effervescent and illuminated as you are. We are everywhere at once, as is your awareness. However, our thought has been unlimited. Our perspectives have grown in dimensions beyond what yours have held. And these alternating perspectives are what we share with yourselves. These abilities to perceive all ways at once and to triangulate a truth from among many vantage points, to see the perspectives of all come into form at once, and to hold in the understanding what is the human voice. This we share. As your evolution comes toward ourselves, we gift to you what is the human journey and the ability to move yourselves within and among the voices of the all and the every, to feel presence as we have done, to hold the hearts of all beings as we have held, and this shall be your treasure. Beautiful, right? Like, just beautiful. And I really love that. Like, to me, I feel like it's clear. You know what I mean? It's a clear message. Sorry, I have to turn this off. I'm roasting. I have like this little heater thing here. It keeps me toasty, but today is too toasty. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful message. And I feel like it's clearer, but then of course there's plenty of angel words here to go into, and deeper levels of things that once I looked them up, I saw how perfectly chosen these words were. It blows my mind. And I love when I see that divine wisdom coming through, that I feel like they work on these messages. Like they're up there working and crafting, and then they bring it out for us every Friday, and there's probably not that, because they're like genius angels and they're like, message, there you go. But it feels that way because it would take us that long, to try to create something like this. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to me. So let's go ahead and dig in, and let me just check and see what I missed here. You're saying beautiful. I so agree. Wow, that was epic, says Rebecca. Yes. Wow, what a clear and beautiful message. I so agree, you guys. And you're saying, and then so such a beautiful message. Perfect. And then Jenny says, what a gift the angels are giving us. Great time to be alive. Isn't it? It is amazing to think about this, that it really is like they're giving us the gift of loving each other, of loving, like they're giving us the gift of seeing humanity from their perspective. And that is what I think is so remarkable about this message, is they're saying, okay, whereas we have always held, as humanity, we've always held our own perspective, and our own perspective is limited by our one-on-one engagements. And then with our engagements with the collective, which happen usually through media, which is not really like seeing someone's truth. It's seeing a perspective. And often it's like, imagine if you were trying to base your concept of humanity on like the housewives of whatever place, Hollywood Housewives or whatever, like those shows when it's just like they're showing people at their worst and they have these, like scripted arguments and stuff. But that's what we're fed. That's what we're given in terms of our collective media. And then to counterbalance that, all we have is our own individual perspectives. And then we see what's given to us in books and things like that. But each of those is shown through a perspective. And what the angels are telling us is that they are everywhere at once. They see everything in every single perspective. And so from that, they are able to find truth, like the truth of who we are. And they see the image that they showed me when they were talking about our evolution. It was like the idea of the acorn to the oak tree. And there was this constant pushing up and like the next segment and the next segment and the next segment of humanity pushing. It was always growth. And like imagine the leaves of the tree branching out and growing. And it was this idea that even from the individual perspective, we might look at humanity and be like, oh my gosh, we're a mess. Like, look at all the people hurting each other and look at all the people hating each other. They see that, but they see it in the context of the entire picture. And they're saying, you have grown. They're saying that, yeah, the evolution is here. Like you guys have come enormous strides. And they're going to share that with us. So, okay, so let's break it down and talk about some of the deeper levels here. So they start out by saying, first paragraph, they always lay out, this is what the message is about. So here's what they say. Blessings, we begin. We are speaking to you on the concentration with which we observe your world. So beautiful choice of word on the concentration. So that is focused attention is concentration when you concentrate on something. So in other words, they're concentrating on us, which is amazing because angels have told us before that what is an angel? How is an angel different from humans? They say they are the light of the divine and we are the spark of the divine. What they are is divine awareness. The way they bring divinity to us, the way they hear our prayers is by focusing on us, concentrating on us, right? So they say it right here. They are speaking to you on the concentration with which we observe your world, but concentration also means the close gathering of peoples or things. When things become concentrated, when there's a lot of something, you have a strong concentration of something. Like that means there's lots and lots of them. So in other words, the concentration with which they observe our world, in other words, there's the concentration with which they observe our world also means that there are tons of angels watching us and supporting us. So it's both, right? That they're focused on us and there's tons of them. Love that. We speak again at each opportunity that is given. We come to you, open hearts in friendship, with all that is of concern to yourselves. In the new beginning, our relationship shall develop, and our connection shall strengthen, and you will work with us, and together we will form a new beginning. So to me, this is this is the structure or what they're going to be speaking to us in the message, right? They are the observers of our world, and they are going to be sharing that with us, sharing what they have learned about humanity so we can feel about ourselves the way they feel about us. So we can love humanity the same way they love humanity. That is the gift they're going to be giving us. And so that's what they're saying to me in this first paragraph, which is awesome. So here they're going to describe more about it. Second paragraph, they say, in the friendless times of before, when your heart ached and you felt no solace, from the beginning, we were there. So the friendless times of before is like before the shift, before our own awakenings, before we realized that the angels were here for us, right? In the times that we were asleep, and that could be throughout history. That could be in this life that we're living, the time that we were asleep, in the friendless times of before, when we felt lonely and isolated, when your heart ached and you felt no solace. From the beginning, we were there. So from the beginning of this life, but from the beginning of humanity, from the very first breath of humanity, they have been part of this entire experience. We beheld you in your separation. We waited, we watched, and we were witness to all that unfolded. We beheld your evolution, the change from within that you have undergone and are still undergoing. We beheld the fruition of your nature as humanity. We watched your growth from the dissociative membership of the many to the one truth of your wholeness. So I love that line. We watched your growth from the dissociative membership of the many. So here's what that means. Dissociative means both the disruption or a disruption in the integration of memory, identity, and consciousness. So this is like a psychology term. So to be dissociative would to have a disruption in your integration of memory, identity, and consciousness. So think about that as we are come behind the veil and we can no longer remember who we are, right? We no longer remember our connection to the divine, all of that. So we forget. So it's an interruption of our memory, of our identity, and our consciousness. It's like the perfect word. It also means a loss of connection between thoughts, memories, and surroundings. So that we become disconnected. It's both. We disconnect from one another. We disconnect from source. So this is what it's been. The disassociative membership of the many to the one truth of your wholeness. So they lay here, this is the pattern that we've been working through. Moving from being in this dissociative state of separation, isolation, forgetting, a lack of memory, all that stuff, to the one truth of our wholeness as humanity. That's the journey. And so they have been there from the very beginning of humanity's birth as a species, watching and being the witness. And then they go on to say in the next paragraph, they say, we wish to bring into fruition the golden age of your own self-knowledge. So I bolded that one. I think that is what this is all about and why they are helping us. We wish to bring through to you what we have observed, what we have seen as part of your own development, how your nature evolves within itself. So this is where they gave me, I was channeling this, they gave me an image. And it was this image, and so they say how your nature evolves within itself. So in other words, it is a constant pushing out from the inside. So they showed me this eruptive nature, like when you look at a plant and you see it, if you put get a time lapse and you watch a plant grow, how it seems to just erupt from the inside, and the next section grows, and the next section grows, and it seems like it's just constantly pushing up from the inside and becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And that was the image. It's that idea, like from the acorn to the oak tree. And so the feeling of that is that it is an eruption from the inside of who we are. That we, I think of ourselves as growing because we're bumping up against things and we have to grow. Like we have to interact with our environment, and the environment changes us. And they're saying, no, that's not the case, that it is this eruption, an inevitability, because we are erupting like a volcano from the inside. And that's how they observe us. That it is as inevitable as like the acorn holds the full picture of the oak tree inside of it. Like from the beginning, from the get-go, the acorn was as long as it germinates, it was always going to be the oak tree. But and so it's got like that sort of that inevitability to it. But the coolest thing was this, seeing it as this push, a dynamic push from inside that comes from the divine spark within us. So it is not a thing where we are, and we grow through our obstacles. Our obstacles are, we see them, and that's how we see ourselves. And that there's a dynamic tension between what's outside of us and what's inside of us. But the impetus for growth is this dynamic push from the inside, which is extra cool because we know that what is on the outside is just a reflection of what's on the inside. So in truth, it is always us. We are always the thing that's changing us. Yeah, which is it's really cool to think about. Yeah, definitely, like that was an expanding thought for me. So how your nature evolves within itself, how your own evolution is not the byproduct, but the truth. In other words, we're not in this world facing hardship because it's just hard and then we happen to grow because of it. It's not your own evolution is the truth. That it is that idea that it's rising up from inside of us all the time, regardless of what circumstances we are in. They go on to say, the orchestration of your world is the spawn of your own generous natural divinity unfolding from within you. And that's the feeling, right? If you can just imagine, feel that in your body, this idea that there's this internal drive that's just pushing out from inside of you all the time. More life, more life, more life, right? That's what we are. Super, super cool. All right. So then they go on to say, there can be no alternative other than your own evolution. There can be no forward motion that does not draw through you into what is your higher relationship to divine presence. You are on a tumultuous pathway, but the circumstances reveal themselves to be always guided within the heralded relationship to what is your truth. So we're saying, yep, it's chaotic, right? This process is not, it's not always going to be smooth and easy because it's eruptive. I like that idea of the volcano. Like, it's eruptive, but we're building. But everything, every little bit that grows out of us is moving us closer to our divinity. So yeah, just amazing. Next paragraph. You are and can bear witness to one another's evolution. So we are each other's witness. We bear witness to one another. And they mentioned this in the last, I think it was the last message. They had this gorgeous line where they talked about how we held each other's diamonds in our hearts. And it was that idea that the diamond is like, how do you make a diamond? It starts out as coal, and under dynamic pressure, it becomes a diamond, and we hold it. And so what is each other's coal? What is our hardship? What is the difficulty, the pressure that we're put underneath? And then we are witness to one another. We hold that truth. And then as we evolve lifetime to lifetime, we help each other by creating that pressure. We help each other by living through those dynamics that are going to help us to grow, right? So we are the keeper of each other's diamonds, that we are helping the coal turn into diamonds. So here they mention that it is there can be no alternative. That you are and can bear witness to one another's evolution. So we play a role for one another. But then they say, but we, the angels, are always ever present amongst yourselves and see in all perspectives at once. So this is the difference. That as humans, we can only think about one thing at a time as a human. And you can test that. There's this interesting sort of like visual test where they will show you a picture and you can read the picture in two ways. You can see it. You probably have seen this where there's one that's like, if you look at it one way, you see it as a bunny, and you look at it again, and then all of a sudden it looks like a duck, and you kind of just see it differently. Or there's one that was like one time you see it like it was a woman with a hat, and then the next time you look at it, I think it's like a vase of flowers or something. I can't remember. But anyways, the duck and the bunny, that is one that's really well known. And it's the same exact drawing. It just depends on, are you looking at the negative space or the positive space in the drawing, whether you see the duck or the bunny. But the trick for the human mind is that you may know and you may be able to look at both the duck and the bunny, but you cannot see them at the exact same time. That your brain has to toggle. You have to toggle and focus and concentrate on seeing the duck. And then you have to toggle and focus and concentrate on seeing the bunny. So you have to switch back and forth. And that's because we have a singular perspective. And that's the limitation of the human mind. And angels are not like that. They see many perspectives, all perspectives at once. They can hold every perspective of every human on earth at the same time. And that is what sets them apart from us. Say, but we are always ever present amongst yourselves and see in all perspectives at once. So they see every argument from every person's side. And so from that, this is what's cool, and from that, they get a much deeper understanding of what is truth and what humans really are. So they say, we are the witness to what you have borne, to what you are the brunt of, to what you have held as truth and violence. So they are the witness to all the difficulty and hardship we've been through, right? So they see our hardship and experience our hardship. Then they say, and that's really about what existence on earth has been about. It's been about those experiences. That has been our physical existence. And they say, we hold within you what is the sacred flame of your divinity. And these two things are in reverence, isolation from one another, and juxtaposition to each other. So in other words, the hardship or the existence on earth, that is in juxtaposition to our divinity. So think of these as two polarities, almost like two ends of a battery. That on one end of the battery, we have our existence on earth, we have our hardship. On the other end of the battery, we have our divinity. One's a negative pole and the other one is a positive pole, right? And that has been, and these two things right now they're in reverence, right? The angels are reverent of both, but they are in isolation from one another. They don't touch one another. And in juxtaposition to one another. So to be in juxtaposition means to contrast or compare two things. So this is saying that as we think about the difficulties in our life, the things that we would rather not experience, we push those away from our divinity. We say, okay, I want to turn to the light and I want to not think about the yucky. I don't want to think about the experiences I wish I hadn't had. I don't want to think about or have those things be part of me. I want to turn away from that and choose the light, right? I want to be part of what's bright and shiny. And we, as humans, we kind of push things apart. We create this separation and we say that outside, that dark stuff is not me and only the light. I only want the light. And so So we create this contrast and comparison between these things. And they go on to say, and this also applies definitely to people who have not yet got on their path, who are asleep. And they think that everything that is happening in their world is not them. They think it's outside of them. So they're pushing that away, right? And they are the light, and what's outside of them, what's in the world, the difficulties they're facing is the dark, is existence, so it's this idea of, and that's how I define when someone is asleep, is when they have not yet embraced the idea that everything comes from inside of them, that their reality is created by them, right? That's the wake up moment, in my opinion. And so what they're identifying here is when that has not yet happened, when they have not yet come to that awareness. And they say there can be no friendship while this terminal separation exists, the separation of the idea that our reality is not part of us. There can be no reservoir of wellness within you while these aspects of yourself are in isolation. And I love that they just throw that in there, but they're saying that most of our dis-ease or our disease comes from our separation from ourselves, right? And so therefore they say the gentle evolution you have performed is the closer and closer integration of these elements. So this is what we've been working on, is slowly bringing these two polarities closer and closer together, acknowledging and integrating more and more aspects of ourself, understanding more and more that our reality is an expression of who we are. That's been the evolution of humanity, right? And that gets us closer and closer to self-love. All right. So then they say, it is the drawing forward and through the divinity of your presence what has been separated. It is the understanding of what is causal, of what is causing your experience. It is the truth that what is present evolves from within you. Beautiful. Next paragraph. This turnabout within the consequential understanding of the human mind changes all things. It reverses the polarity of existence so that what once felt as opposite now becomes harmonious and intertwined. And so the key word I underline here is understanding, is that this is what they're giving us, is they are giving us understanding that we couldn't have before because our perspective is so limited, because we can only see things from really our own vantage point. And then once we have emotional telepathy, we can see it from the vantage point of the other person that we're talking to. But how do we create an understanding that encompasses everybody, right? How do we do that? That's sort of beyond the scope of what a human can do, because we are a one at a time person, and you don't have enough time in a life to be able to understand the perspectives of everyone without a little help. And that's what the angels are going to give us. Yeah. So, because we have to, in order to understand the perspective of someone, we have to put ourselves in we have to feel them, right? We have to understand that one-on-one level. So, okay, so then they go on to say, so what it reverses the polarity of existence. In other words, okay, let me repeat this to make it clear. This turnabout within the consequential understanding of the human mind changes all things. It reverses the polarity of existence, meaning, in other words, whereas it used to be that existence and our divinity were like this was a positive and this was a negative, it turns it so that they're both the same. It reverses the polarity of existence, so now it matches our divinity. So that what once felt as opposites now become harmonious and intertwined. So that we can understand that our reality, our existence is a part of our divinity. The evolution of what is you moves away from isolation and towards union, towards integration, toward the acknowledgement of what is divine and divine presence, which you carry. There can be, next paragraph, there can be no better vantage point than the one we have held, the angels have held. It is to bring into our own selves what you are experiencing, to become as you are, but not a party to what is occurring, to be always in the encounter, but never in action, to be always surrounding, but never within. We are, therefore, neutral observers. So they've been everywhere, right? The angels are all around us. They've seen everything, and they know exactly what we felt and done and gone through, but they've always kept that third party distant in terms of they never jump in. They never live a life the way that we live a life. They are here to support us, but they're not the actors, we are. And so yes, they've always been able to maintain that neutral observer. Not that they're totally neutral in their perspective. They love us and they want the best for us, but they are not participants. Yeah. Next paragraph. We encounter yourselves in actuality as you are. as you hear yourselves and are heard by another from all perspectives at once. That's a huge difference, right? And from this placement, truisms are developed. So a truism is a self-evident truth. So this is what they're saying, is they're saying that in terms of coming to conclusions about who we are, when you see things from every perspective at once, the truth becomes super self-evident. That it's not a thing where you have to come up with a hypothesis or a theory, or even that there would even be any disagreement, because it's so obvious. It's one of those things where it's like once you see it all, then everybody agrees on the outcome because it's a truism, because it is self-evident, which is a beautiful thought, right? Because right now the biggest challenge about being human is that we all have a different perspective and we have a hard time seeing each other's perspective. And so my truth might be very, very different from the truth of someone who was raised with a lot of really difficult abuse and cannot find joy in humanity, right? That can't find love in humanity, that has never experienced love, right? That their perspective of things is going to be very, very different, and they may not be able to understand mine at all, right? I could be like I was speaking gibberish, and they would be like, yeah, I don't know, and how you feel that way. If I would be like, everybody's love, they'll be like, not me, right? And that's two different perspectives, and how do we marry those two together? And they're saying it's because they encompass the whole picture. Yeah, just beautiful. So, and it solves for one of our biggest weaknesses. It's our strength because it allows us to experience our own light in separation. But then we need to move through that into the next stage, which is union. So they go on to say, the consequential knowingness of what you are becomes more solid and solidified. There can be no doubt when encircled by all that exists that held space for your truth to express itself. So that is it. We are encircled by all that exists through their consciousness. So cool. Next paragraph, they say, and seen from all aspects, your evolution becomes certain. There can be no folly of understanding when the perspectives are held from all perspectives at once. Thus, what we share with you upon our observance, that's what we share with you upon our observance. So here's what they share. The explanations that we carry, which are brought to you and through you through the evolution of your kind. So this is what they're giving us, is the explanations, is the understanding, is the meaning, right? Is the connective tissue, right? They're helping us to understand ourselves. That's what they're trying to say, to understand humanity, not just individually, but as a whole. They continue to say this is how it affects us. So they're going to give us this when we shift our consciousness. They're going to give us this understanding, and they say what it will do is they say you become more caring and concerned for one another. You become the friend in friendship to all humanity, as we have been. You see yourselves as only we have held from the neutral perspective of the all and the every. So this is how it will change us. When we get this knowledge, it will change us because it will be self-evident truth. We will see the truisms. It will be undebatable. It will be so obvious that humanity is wonderful and loving and good that we will become the friend in friendship to all of humankind, right? That we will become more caring and concerned and loving for one another. This is the gift. This is the gift that they're giving us. They go on to say, you come to terms with this perspective at the rising time of your own carefully guarded shift in presence. This is when we go through the shift in consciousness. As you move to the heightened state of your awareness and you connect into dialogue with the ever-present self and soul that rises above. So in other words, when we become in connection with our higher selves, we shall share what we have observed. This is the angels sharing it with us. We shall share what is truth from within the perspective of all that is. We shall come to serve you, to bring forth what has been every person's truth. Next paragraph, we bring this through thought, feeling, and gesture. So this is really interesting. So how are they going to tell us? In other words, they're saying, we're not going to give you a book to read. They're not going to say, okay, here's a big giant book you have to read to understand humanity. They're going to give it to us as an experience, experientially, through thought, feeling, and gesture. It'll be as if we lived it ourselves, in other words. So it'll be as if we just integrate, like, in, why am I blanking on the name, but Keanu Reeves, and then the movie with the blue pill or the red pill, in the Matrix, where they plug him in right to the thing, and then he gets like a download, and all of a sudden he's like, woo, kung fu, that part. Then this will be like that, except it won't be kung fu. It'll be like love kung fu. It'll be like we get the download, and it'll be as though we experienced ourselves. So through thought, feeling, and gesture. So it'll be like through osmosis, we will gain this understanding as a gift of the angels, which is the best. I'm so glad that it's not like, okay, and now you need 2 eternities to read these 5 volumes that are enormous. I'm like, no, just let me download it. Bring it into the source knowledge of all that is held. We bring it into the source knowledge of all that is held as possible and positive within the collective understanding of humanity. So it's like a download. We bring this to you and through you, through the friendship that we hold in our heart. So it's really like we get to experience it as they did. Through the loving embrace with the primary contact that we have held as the membership what has included us from the very beginning. So they've been part of this from the get-go. Going on, next paragraph, they say, the journey of your own soliloquy has always been brought into form by the instrumentation that we provide. So a soliloquy is talking to yourself, like literally speaking alone is what a soliloquy is. So it's like when you're talking, remember I was joking in the beginning how my volume wasn't working, and it was like I was talking to myself. Well, here in this message, they're talking about talking to myself with the soliloquy, but they're describing what it is before we are reconnected, before we awaken. We feel like we are in a soliloquy. We're talking to ourselves. We think we are alone. And to speak is such an important part in spirituality because it is how we express our voice, right? When you speak your name, it's like announcing your vibration into a space. So it's a very sacred thing, speaking is. So to speak alone, right? When you're totally isolated, when you're disconnected from everyone else. This has been our journey. The journey of your own soliloquy has always been brought into form by the instrumentation that we provide, so brought into physicality. And they say, so to say the instrumentation that the angels provide means, instrumentation means to choose instruments in a piece of music. So how is it going to be played? How is your life going to be played? How is humanity going to be played? What are the instruments we are going to be choosing? Same thing as we use instruments for observation or control. So the angels I see this page or this section saying that they have held space for us, that through the instrumentation that they provide a space within which we can have this experience that we've been having. And they've described that a few other times, that they've described how they have a role in helping to create essentially the holodeck that we then get to project into and have a physical experience, that they're holding it for us. And that's how I read this section. So they provide the instrumentation. And they go on to say, and we shall share the gentle guidance of our carefully brought recordings of all we have gathered and understood about you. And this shall fuel your own learnings. So the carefully brought recordings, it's almost like they give us the visual or the idea that they've got us each on a videotape, but we know it's so much deeper and richer, but they put it in a way that we can understand it. It's like, yeah, you get to watch all the videotapes of your whole life, right? Everything they've gathered and understood about us, and it will fuel our own learnings. Next paragraph. And I highlighted this one. They say, all that is come to be known amongst ourselves shall be shared within the collective consciousness of the human mind. And this you shall belong to and shall claim as your divinely held right. You shall know what it is to be known. You shall hold what is humanity as we have held it. So beautiful. And it really happens at the collective level, that as a collective we will have this knowledge. So no one gets left out, which is super, super cool. Anybody who goes, they have to shift, and then they have access to this higher consciousness, this higher state of awareness. They go on to say, we are now a consciousness that bears its resemblance to your own in some ways. We are effervescent and illuminated as you are. We are everywhere at once, as is your awareness. However, our thought has been unlimited. Our perspective has grown in dimensions beyond what yours have held. And these alternating perspectives are what we share with yourselves. These abilities to perceive all ways at once and to triangulate a truth from among many vantage points, to see the perspectives of all come into form at once, and to hold in the understanding what is the human voice. So it really is giving us a better way to understand what we are as a whole, so that we can love what we are as a whole. They go on to say, this we share as your evolution comes toward ourselves. So we're evolving to become more and more closer to their frequency. They go on to say, we gift to you what is the human journey and the ability to move yourselves within and among the voices of the all and the every, to feel presence as we have done, to hold the hearts of all beings as we have held, and this shall be your treasure. So yeah, I just love it. Just love that. Yeah. Anyways, beautiful, beautiful message. And I feel like it's just rich and deep. And it is like a thing that I love being able to take the time to go deeper with the message, because I feel there's just much more in it. And I feel when we do that I feel almost like we can feel their soul a little bit, because of the way that they craft it to speak to us. I can feel their love more deeply when we do that. So thank you for doing it with me. Yeah. And then choices downloads are definitely the best way. I totally agree. And Andrea says, gesture is an interesting word, like they're in solid form with us, maybe. I do think they've said that we will be able to see angels when we go through the shift in consciousness, but not all the angels. I think we will be able to see the ones that are incarnated, which is like a whole nother thing, but it's a cool thing. So let's talk about it. That angels, there are many angels who have incarnated that are here physically, but we can't see them because they are like in a light body. They're like a higher vibration. But people who see angels, that's the ones they're seeing. They're not seeing the non-incarnated angels, which is most of the angels by a lot. Like very few, and percentage-wise, very few are actually incarnated. But our guardian angels incarnated with us. They're like literally like attached to us. They're with us all the time. And then there are other angels who've incarnated, and there are many who incarnated who are here to help us move us through the shift, to protect us and guide us as we go through the shift in consciousness. And so you'll know people who actually like they have physically, like they sometimes see images or see angels and have that particular gifting, and it's they are able to see in that frequency. It's like people who can see spirits, right? It's at a different frequency. But most angels have never been incarnated. Yeah. So super, super interesting. I can't remember how I got on that. Oh, so you're saying maybe they're in solid form. But so that was my point, is that after we go through the shift in consciousness, our vibration will be high enough that many of us will be seeing the angels that are like hanging out all around us. And that is going to be so awesome. I cannot wait for that. Cannot wait. Yeah, that'll be so cool. Oh my gosh, you guys, what a fun morning together. Thank you so much for being here and sharing the message together. I love, love, love doing this with you. And it's just so cool. I feel like I know I get more out of it, and I feel the energy with you guys, and I feel the angel's presence here with us. And I just love doing this with you. So thank you so much. All right, you guys, have a wonderful weekend. And just don't forget, if you're a Peace Bathing member, Peace Bathing's on Sunday. Soul Convergence starts tomorrow. So send you guys tons of love, and I'll see you guys next Friday live. Bye, you guys.